We got audio. Hey! Yay! So we're back. Yes. So basically, I'll not touch the mic again. Ever. But the thing is, I would have thought normally when the mic doesn't work, it reverts to there's a mic on top of the webcam, which it should have reverted to, which would have meant that you just got shit sound rather than no sound. I think the problem was I was trying to roll a fag and talk at the same time. So if I just lean back and roll at extreme distance, yeah, I'm not. That mic's not getting touched again ever. I am going to set up proper mics at some point. Basically for the stereo aspect, there's kind of no point. I've got a stereo rig in here. It's got the bass and the guitar, so they should ideally, when I'm doing all these loop things, should be lefty righty, but they're not. Cheers. Give up smoking, it's not good for me. But that was me just, and I think that's maybe the third or fourth time something similar has happened on the live stream. It's just that there doesn't seem to be any way of doing it live. It seems to be an IT crowd thing where you basically just turn it off and turn it back on again. Hey, Papa Blue, yes, Jeff. Thanks for all coming back. That's great. 71 base SG. Yeah. What happened was I touched the mic. I tried to slide it back, but don't touch the mic. The mic is there. The mic is happy. The mic is on. Oh, there's actually still half a fag in the ashtray from earlier on. Did I just smoke half one? Got half of one. And a lighter, and then we're back on track. There's a lighter there. Yeah, so what was the last thing I was talking about? Because I was talking shite for quite a long time, I think, before the mic cut out. And obviously it was a really important thing I was saying. Not just crap. Talking about the Who? Talking about the Who, Daltrey. Yeah. Daltrey was a bit of a weird one. It was a really strange gig, actually. It was the tickets we bought weren't that expensive, but the seats we were in were. They were kind of, I think we bought the cheapest seats in the place. It was like 35, 40 quid, which is for the Armadillo in town's like, oh, it's not too bad. But the seats we were in were like £90 seats. And it's like, when do you get to the point of, I understand if you're paying £100 or £90 to go and see a band and it's something pretty spectacular, but not Roger Daltrey on his own. That's not something that should be 100 quid, you know, kind of bizarre. I've actually got offered the singer of the Black Sabbath band, Brides, bought tickets for him and his wife to go and see Kiss. He's like, you know what, Kiss tickets selling for half face value, and it's like, and I'm pretty sure half face value is still going to be 60 or 70 quid to see Kiss, and it's like, no. There was a time when there were bands at one point I would pay that to see, but not anymore. Well, in saying that, I don't know how much it cost to go and see Cat Stevens, but I mean, we had to go to Liverpool. So, you know, obviously ended up costing a couple £100. The ticket didn't cost a couple £100, but it was so expensive. Gigs are so expensive. Go and see wee tiny bands. Back in the 70s, 80s, saw all the top bands. Bet he did, bastards. I didn't. I've not done too badly with all the top bands I saw when I was a kid, but tickets for gigs weren't £150. I've seen a lot. Nearly. Okay, George Harrison was one I missed, but I didn't really have an opportunity to see him. I did miss, I suppose, technically Pink Floyd, but I didn't really like that Pulse thing, which is the one that could have been my first gig. Was the Albert Hall? Was it Albert Hall, Wembley, whatever it was? The Pulse thing was recorded. Oh, 900 Australian to see the Beatles back in the 60s. That can't be right. Remember see Deep Purple? What era of Deep Purple? Yeah. I saw Deep Purple. That was the first gig I ever went to on my own. Was a while ago. Yes, John Lord was still in the band, and it was Steve Morse. It was the either Perpendicular or Abandon was the tour. Whatever one of them was the second album. And I really enjoyed it. It was great fun. Never really been back to see them, and kind of went off Deep Purple a little bit. A little bit strange. But neither as I remember when I was during Neighbours, it was roughly a third. So like £10 was $30, that kind of thing. So there you're talking about £100 to see the Beatles in the 60s. £100 in the 60s was like £1,000 just now, something stupid. I don't know. 120 to see Roger Waters. Wow. Yeah. I mean, the most expensive I've ever played was Black Sabbath. I wasn't going to go because the tickets were too expensive. I saw them on the 13 album tour in the Hydro, which is a big venue in Glasgow, which hadn't been open for a year. We were going to see a band there. Me and my pal were looking at Glabia. Need to go to the Hydro, see what it's all about. Okay, who's playing? It was like Status Quo. Just get a cheap seat up at the back to see this new venue. So we're going to go and see Status Quo, and I think it was £25 for the shittest seat away up the back. And then Sabbath was like £28. I was like, well, you're going to see Black Sabbath? But was it? Aye. So I went to that, and it was great. And then 2 or 3 years later, same venue, same seat, instead of being £28 was 70 something quid. Like, what? So I just thought, fuck it, I'm not going. I'm not paying the extortionate prices. And then it turned out a girlfriend at the time, Civet, was coming over, and it was my birthday. It was the 24th of January, so it was the day before my 40th, I think, actually. And it was like, all right, well, I'll try and get a ticket. And it's like, I ended up paying. The ones I got were ridiculous. It's like the thing was, I bought the expensive tickets because they weren't as increased in value. Like the ones that were £70 were 150, right? For the shit ones up at the back. And I was like, well, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to go and see Sabbath. So it's like, so I bought the ones that were right in the fucking front circle thing, and they worked at £180 each. That's the most I've ever paid for a concert. In saying that, we were late arriving, walked in and walked out and stood 6 feet away from Tony Iommi's feet. So, I mean, for all the bands you're going to see, if you're going to see Black Sabbath, and I think it was their third last ever gig or something, like on their tour, it was like they did Glasgow and then they did Birmingham twice as the last 2 dates, and then they'll never play again. So yeah, it wasn't too bad. So Albert Lee last year, £30. See, that just seems real. That's fine. It was Steve Morse. I hated his guitar sound. See, I was surprised at how good Steve Morse was. I'd never really heard someone do the volume control thing before. He was doing a lot, like sort of kind of violining with it. I'd never seen that before. I thought it was good. I saw Dr. Feelgood pub in Millstone for £1.10. No, I'm not as old as that. I'm trying to think of. I know it was like £8 or something to see Ozzy Osbourne in the Barras. I don't remember tickets being much cheaper than that. Seen Deep Purple in Birmingham on Perfect Strangers. I still don't get Perfect Strangers. I was into Deep Purple quite heavily for a bit. They were one of my 3 big bands: Zeppelin, Purple, and Sabbath. And Sabbath were my one, and they're still my favourite. And Purple and Zeppelin are kind of drifted away a bit. But I never got Perfect Strangers. I quite like the ones up before that. I liked obviously In Rock and Fireball and Machine Head and Who Do You Think We Are, and then Burning Stormbringer with Coverdale, and then Come Taste the Band. I quite liked all of them. And then the Perfect Strangers one was like, this is pure. I was really at the time super against 80s sound, all the sort of shiny chorus, and shiny's the best word. I just couldn't stand that sound. So basically, it happened to nearly all the bands I like. When I was looking, we're talking mid 90s when I was getting into music, and I would just, if it got into the 80s, I would be scared of it because so many of the bands I like suddenly come out with all this jingle jangle extreme, well, we've now got a chorus pedal, let's have all the dials at 10 for everything. And it just seemed clean guitar disappeared. You no longer got clean. You got clean, which included tons of echo and tons of delay. It still kind of haunts me a little bit to this day. I'm still not a big man of effects. Hey, Three Stone Cave Road, how's it going? Hey, Kit Kats. Saw Peter Green at a pub, but I think they just popped him up. The Muse are great. I've seen The Who a few times. They go really hard. We missed them, bastards. They were playing at Download. We never saw them. That was there was only two bands I'd ever heard of that were playing, or three bands I'd ever heard of that were playing Download. Metallica, they were playing twice. I get to see them one times. The Who and Ghosts. Saw Ghost, forgot about The Who. Hey, Atville, you the guy with the West Tones? Yes, I am. I can't see any just now, but there are West Tones. Yeah. Saw Lenny Kravitz at the bars. That was all right. About £2.40 for AC/DC at the Apollo. I don't know. And for me, it was Rush. No, I think it might have even been Kiss. But I remember Rush and Kiss were playing. When was the Iron Maiden Matter of Life and Death tour? £25 a ticket. I've got ticket number 1 because I knew. Unfortunately, someone I knew as a kid worked there. Their mum and dad been talking to my mum and dad, got me tickets. I still had to pay for them, but I got ticket number 1 for Iron Maiden, or 1, 2, 3, and 4, whatever it was. So I've got that ticket. And then the guy, he was quitting the job, so I never got any more tickets off him. But that, and it was like 25 quid, I think. And then a couple of months later, up came, do you want to go and see Kiss? And I was like, and it was 60 quid. And it was like, 60? What? No. And then Rush were about the same time, 60 quid. What the fuck happened there? Gigs are 25, 30 quid. And suddenly they're 60 quid. For a couple of years, there was a few, like Rainbow as well. They were like 60 or 70 quid in ELO. And you're like, what the fuck off? I'm not paying 60 quid to see a band. I was like, I saw the Stones. I was seeing stadium gigs for 20, 30 quid. You know what I mean? No. And then now, I don't even know how it works in. I do remember the last time I saw the Stones, which I got free tickets for. I can't remember who I got them off, but I had free tickets. And the seats we had were right at the back, which was great because every other time I've seen the Stones, we've been at the front. So this was sitting right at the back. What's it like sitting at the back? Free tickets. And those tickets were 100 quid or something. And you're like, £100? What? Mental. Oh. Ozzy was a great show. Ozzy was good. I enjoyed him. Yes. Where's the telecoil split you threatened, you saff lad? That was for a distortion pedal. I'm not reviewing a fuzz pedal. I'll look it out. Oh. Three 5-Stone Cave Road. Personally, I think the very best guitars in the market are the Epiphones. I disagree. I'm afraid I've had really bad experience with Epiphones. It depends what you're comparing them to. Unfortunately, I'm comparing them to these, which are all miles better than anything Epiphone I've ever made. But they don't look. This isn't a Les Paul. It's better than any Epiphone Les Paul, but it's not. It's not the right shape. So there's an element of that. They're not shit. They're very, very expensive. And the last couple I've had have been terrible. Had an SG that was just. I made the guy bought it brand spanking new. Gave it to me to try and make it play better. And it was like, have you just bought this? Yeah. I was like, I'm not touching it. Send the bastard back. Get your money back. It was awful. It was an SG. Looked amazing. Was shit. He also had a Koa Epiphone Les Paul. It was like fucking something like 700 quid. And it's like, try to be more like Gibson by overcharging like fuck 700 quid. No fucking way was that a £700 guitar. A vintage VS6 SG copy, new 2005 model for 253 years, all right. Van Halen with Roth. Yeah, I'm was never really. I actually, to be honest, I like Dave Lee Roth's solo stuff better than I like Van Halen. Sorry, I like Skyscraper. That's a good album. Oh, I have a Westone Deluxe that my mate owned, but sadly died. Have it in a stand. Don't really use it. I don't really know what a Westone Deluxe is. It could. It's not one of the models I know. I've got like a Prestige and a Spectrum 3 and a Concorde H2 and a Concorde bass and a Thunder 1 bass and a Clipper 6 and a Raider. I think that's all the Westones I've got. I've had a few more. It's because bands don't they don't make money from record sales. This is true. I mean, they used to go basically they would. I don't know how you get out of that idea when they're buying records and stuff. Because when who buys records? I don't know. Because I'm old, I used to sit and hang out with my pals, we'd drink and smoke and listen to records all the time. So that's why I had so many. I don't listen to records very often anymore. It's disgusting. I really miss it. Every time I do put records on, I do have a record player sitting there. It's like it's so much better than the sound you get off YouTube, even though I'm using the same stereo. It's amazing. Saw the Stones in '81 in Philadelphia. I thought 81 by 81 they were meant to be pretty good. But that's not the Still Life tour, is it? I'm not sure it's in Philadelphia. But no, see, I always felt I kind of went off the Stones a lot bit because see the whole idea about being pure massively full of drugs when you're playing a gig. That's not very cool. I don't think. I was a wee bit soured by Dragon Force. I went to see them, and there was like, at first I thought it was quite funny that all the mic stands had like beer can holders or like 2 beer cans on them. And I thought, look, they've got beer cans on like as drinks holders, like for my bike on their mic stands. And it was Sam Topman drank all the beers and he just got pure pissed and was shit. And it's like, kind of here to see you play the guitar, mate. And you're just slagging off the haircut of the other guitarist and making tons of mistakes. Which it must be when the Stones were full of drugs. Then maybe 81. I think they kind of cleaned up a little bit. But I think the 70s. I mean, what's that live album? Love You Live is fucking awful. I can't even listen to it. Pure terrible. Hey Jess, how's it going? No issues with mine, especially with 21 custom Core Les Paul. That's the one I was talking about. 600 quid though. Don't know. You're talking to someone who's now drunk. By the way, so anything I say, I can back out of it because in Scotland you can get out of any contract by being drunk. But they're all right. It just depends on what it is, what you're used to. I mean, I do totally understand that the shape and the look can sway everything. Totally does it for me. On several guitars, it's like I bought the Gibson SG because Tony Iommi had one. I had to have a Gibson SG. Fucking love it. It's great. Oh, I got a Gibson SG. Never bought another one. Is it technically? I got it was still an SG, so it's still great, but it's not as good a guitar as you can get. An Epiphone Joe Perry. I think I remember them being in the catalogue. Was it called a Boneyard or something like that? I can't remember what was special about it. That it was funny. It had a dark flame maple top or something. I don't know what a Westone leader is. That sounds good though. You're the guy I got the Jim Deacon and amp from. Stuart Goldie, all right. You're a guy who buys vinyl records, especially from secondhand stores. Found a single recently of the song from Ghostbusters 2. I've got the Ghostbusters single. I've got it. It's called. No, I've got the Ray Parker Jr. Is it Ray Parker Jr. did the sound? And the album's actually, it's got like, the thing with the ghost, apart from it's him in it doing the same pose and the sort of no smoking sign. And I think it's called Ghostbusters and Other. It's not very good. Yeah. On eBay, they're cheap Westone guitars since. That doesn't make sense. On eBay, they used to be cheap. They're not cheap anymore. They're still cheap Westone guitars. I suppose it depends on what you regard as cheap. Now, one of my problems with Westone, if you look at my videos, I remember doing a video about Westone with the best cheap guitar you could buy, because at the time it was quite easy to get like a Westone Spectrum or Thunder, not really any of the other ones, for under 100 quid. So you were paying 60, 70 quid and getting a Japanese guitar, which is as good as a Japanese Fender Strat because it's made in the same people kind of thing. No, it doesn't look as good, but it's as good a guitar. And then the Japanese Fender Strat's as good as the American. So it's, and you're picking up a guitar, but then now they're all 250 odd. So they're still an amazing buy. It's just, it's difficult to see them as an amazing buy. It's the same thing when we're talking about concerts there. Maybe 100 quid's not a lot to go and see a concert. It's just the problem is I remember going to see many, many bands and none of them ever cost 100 quid. Just getting old. Beggar's Banquet was my favourite album. Beggar's Banquet was a big favourite of mine. I used to have a tape with that and Satanic Majesty's Request on it. And unlike everyone else, I like Satanic Majesty's Request. I think if you're going for the Stones and you're wanting good stuff, I would look at Beggar's Banquet, then Sticky Fingers. Let It Bleed. It's kind of in the middle. I don't think it's as good as either Beggar's Banquet or Sticky Fingers, but it's still excellent. Exile on Main Street's the one that everyone pure loves, and it was one of the ones I got last, and it's still great, but it's too long, and it shouldn't have been. I mean, I think it would maybe have been one pure amazing single album, but it's a double album, so it's a bit clustered and a bit annoying and a bit druggy. I do like that though. If you're drunk and seeing double, will you see twice the amount of viewers in the stream? Probably. Yes. Did you say the vintage VS6? Is the vintage VH6 the SG one? Because I've had a few of them and they're really good. The earlier ones are really well built, but they don't have great hardware. And then at some point, they went from being the really well built ones, but had Wilkinson hardware, and then they went to not being as well built and not being quite the right shape. It's like the Gibson were like, hey, got to make the SG not look like an SG quite as much, so instead it looks wrong. So they're in there. Is the tone really in the fingers? It is. It totally is. There's also a hell of a lot of I touched on this earlier on, talking about your preconceptions of what it is you've got. So if you give me an 80s Japanese guitar, like a Washburn or an Ibanez or something, I'm going in there thinking this guitar is going to be pure amazing, and I like it already before I've even touched it. I admit that. It's not the best way of looking at it, but I admit that. So it's like there's an awful lot. If the first bite is with the eye, you know what I mean? The first taste is with the eye, where you've kind of already decided before you even start that it's good. So yeah, just accept the fact that everyone thinks that way. That'll be fine. I had a couple of Westone Thunder 1A. They're okay, but I wasn't fan of the active stuff. I don't really get the active stuff either. I think technology in some parts of guitar making has come on, and one of the things that's come on in is active technology. It was like an old technology thing. The active things, you've got 2 9-volt batteries and one knob that kind of boosts it a wee bit. Things like that. And suppose like mini amplifiers and stuff like that, things like the wee Black Star Fly, which is lying about somewhere, something like that. Technology, amazing, but then you look at all the guitars you get, when I don't have any new ones, that was kind of new. That's just the same as it fucking was in the 50s, really. There's nothing they couldn't have done in the 50s, whereas obviously when you get onto now, you get transistors and microchips and all that shit, which you never got then. But as a guitar, still arguing that this is quite a modern guitar from 1981. I mean, anytime they did try and make a modern guitar, it was in the 80s. It's glass fiber, so it must be newer. I don't know. You did request a telly, Kit Kat's high, but the only telly I've got is that one, and I put the wrong strings on it, so I don't have a telly. You don't worry, you'll get one. Your custom core Les Paul. Yeah, I know the one. I've done a video one. My pal had bought it, and he'd put a Bigsby on it and a string butler. So he'd bought it and then put new pickups in it. So it was like, it was a 600 quid guitar, and then he spent another 200 pound on top of it, and it was like, yeah, now it's now really like the Gibson because it's fucking super expensive and not that good, as opposed to just being. the tone's in the plastic. There is an element of the tone being in the plastic, Scott. You're quite right. Is USA Fender better than Japanese Fenders? If you offered me one or t'other, if it was new, I would take the USA one because it's worth more money. If it was an older one, I would maybe do the same because the American one's worth more money. I mean, like if you look at like a 70s Strat, an American 70s Strat, and compare that to like when they started making them in Japan, the Japanese ones are much better. Maybe not worth as much money, but much better guitars. Like get your oscilloscope on it, everything about it's better because it's Japanese. And then now, I don't know that much. I would rather have the. It's a money saving thing. I don't know. There is a bit of personal taste. I don't actually. I do. I've got one. I've got an American Music Master bass, but that's kind of like that doesn't really count as a Fender American. It is, but it's like their budget one, so it's like a Mustang. But still made in America. It says, but no, I wouldn't see much. Mr. White must be stuck to his tarp. Yeah. My best guitar is a 1983 Gibson Les Paul Custom Pearl White, the only order. Amazing. I bet it's worth a lot of money. You are kind of talking to someone. The thing is that I don't dislike any guitars. All guitars are cool that work. And well, I'm not going to argue that a Les Paul doesn't work. Any guitar I don't like is reserved for you get to a certain level of shitness where it just won't fucking tune ever. You know, it's not a guitar. So as long as it's a guitar, and I'm talking about a guitar can be whatever the cheapest Epiphone, like 100 and whatever, not the Epiphone SL, that's below the line I class as a guitar. But I like all guitars are cool. I kind of resent a bit how much Gibson's costs compared to how good they are, because you've got like, you know, that Roadster or this or something, you compare them to any Gibson Les Paul and they are, even if you were being really skeptical about it, 90% as good and they cost 5% as much. You know, my 2015 Mexican Strat is a bomb. I'll fight. Well, the thing is, you see, the main difference between a Mexican and an American Fender, everyone's kind of the same, but they spent an awful lot more time on it. So in theory, if you got a Mexican Strat and a Fender one, and you spent a few hours on the fretboard, you'd end up with kind of the same thing, to a point of not really noticing, not being a very obvious noticeable difference. So my 78 Precision and my main bass was an 87 Fender Japan and Candy Apple. Bought a Seymour Duncan's for it from Manny's in New York. I recorded that bass and gigged it many a time. Sounds good. Oh. I have a Gibson Studio Les Paul Ebony with dot inlays from the year 1990 with Lawler pickups. Some of them are good. To be honest, it's like if Les Pauls cost £1,000 for a standard, I don't think I would have any issue with it. They don't. They cost $2,500 for a standard, and it's kind of, they're not worth that. The guitar doesn't cost that. There's a fuckload of profit in that kind of thing, which you tend not to get the same way with the Japanese brands. You don't have, you know, I think if you look at era wise, this was what, 1981, this was what, 250 quid or something, whereas a Les Paul would have been 500 quid, whereas this probably cost more to make than a Les Paul in 1981 sort of thing, but they made, you know, 20% profit on it, whereas Gibson made 200% profit on it, because you've got the brand, you know what I mean, and the advertising and all that. I don't know. 1983, $1,000, yeah, but 1983, if you, that's the year, because I was looking up Westone price listed. This is maybe a little bit out of date because things have gone mental the last year or something like that. I looked it up and it was basically £300 in 1983. Just multiply that by 3 for today. So if a guitar was £300 in 1983, now the same, everything would be 3 times that, £900, which kind of sits in a little bit with all these guitars being kind of in that sort of era. I'm pointing at these. There's not really that many Japanese ones. These, the Washburns and the Roadster, the F Gens new. Okay, the other ones are all painted, but it's like, oh. And I wonder if I should get a vintage SG copy. I did a video. If you check out my Atavow, I did a video comparing my 90s, my first good electric guitar that I kept, which was an SG Epiphone SG 400, like the desirable one, the Samick built one. I compared that to the vintage one, which was an older vintage one, like before pre-Wilkinson vintage, and the Gibson, my Gibson SG Special from early 90s. And the pickups in the Gibson were better. The build quality wasn't really, but that's not what you're paying for. You're paying for it being a red SG. They like the Les Paul's bulky body and neck. Yes. Whoever looked cool playing a V. Pretty much everyone apart from Dave Davies looked cool playing a V. These are awesome. They're incredible. That's another one of those things that basically, if you've never had a shot of a flying V, they're really fucking awkward and massive and pure. There's lots of silly things going on, but you can't deny that they've got a thing. Yeah, I've got like an old 70s Arbiter one, a Japanese copy, because I like my Japanese copies, which is every bit as good as any Gibson one, even though it's a bolt-on neck, because bolt-on neck. So is this. Still put this up against the Les Paul Studio. I have a joinery question, Marco. How do you fix a squeaky stair? Doing my nut in, batter fucking hundreds of screws in it. Get a DeWalt, get some deck screws, and screw everything up like a bastard. Can't hurt. So a Western Concord 1 and reverb for 1,200. People, I don't know. The problem is with these things, it's like when things start getting a little bit more famous. I mean, I'm partly to blame with this. See the Washburn Wing series. Well, these, there was one video of a Washburn Falcon on YouTube. That was it, and then there was one website. So when I started doing videos, this 10 years ago, whatever, I was doing a video on a Washburn Falcon. I'd started off doing this because I was doing videos of guitars that didn't exist, but the thing is, I've pushed the prices up because now you go, what's a Washburn Falcon? You type it in and you see me doing videos saying they're fucking amazing, telling you all about them. All information I had to find, not necessarily easy to find shit on the internet, talking to people who used to own Washburn and all that crap to get there, because I just felt they were undervalued. I mean, I remember Washburn Falcons were kind of 300 quid. They were never going to be cheap because you just look at it and go, fucking hell, look at it. Never heard of the name. You know what I mean? Bizarre. I'm old. Got 3 Gibsons, 83 custom, 2011 custom, 2011 50s tribute, over 40 guitars. Well, I remember when I only had 40 guitars. Yeah, no, I mean, there's a taste involved here. I mean, yes, your Gibsons are not shit. They're just very expensive for what it is you get, and you can get this for a tenth of the price or something, and it's everything about it's actually better, apart from it's not a Gibson. Jimmy Page didn't play one of these, but it's a better guitar. I would never spend a grand, never spent more than 500 on any guitar or bass, including a Hot Rod P-Bass USA and Red Charvel USA. Yeah. Just close up, it's not the Falcon. Okay, how can the Falcon I've got has got an inch thick solid rosewood cap. This is a cheapy one. This is kind of the same outline, but it's just a bolt-on nut. It's not a 5-piece neck through. It doesn't have the ebony and the brass and all that crap. Well, it does still have some of the brass. It's still a high-spec guitar. As a modern guitar, this is a grand, easy, and it's significantly cost a quarter as much to build as the Falcon and the Eagle. Just the way it goes. Dave Simpson and others are saying Jet Z guitar are cheap and good. I had a shot at one of them. It was all right, yeah. But I mean, it's like the way I look at it. See, when you're looking at the sort of £120 for a guitar thing, which is where the Jet sits, you buy a like a Tobacco Sunburst Strat. Okay, it's not the one I would choose. It's a bit boring looking, but 120 quid. The way I look at it, if you're paying that sort of money for a new guitar and it works, that's good. That's great. I'm happy with it. I don't mind. The way I'm still sitting there, and I'm a wee bit out of date, but I'm thinking if you're paying 100, I don't think you get a guitar for 100 quid that works anymore, but 120, 130, something like that kind of money, and you're getting a guitar that stays in tune and all the parts on it are acceptable. You've won. That wasn't a thing that happened. That was when these came out in the 80s. Okay, there were 200 quid or 250 quid for the cheap Japanese ones. You were getting a guitar that had pro level shit on it. That's why this has still got the original parts on it, because they lasted 40 years because they were good. Whereas so this time, say this was 250 quid. At the time, the cheapest guitar you could buy was 100 quid, and it was plywood and made of fucking Weetabix. It's like the tuners don't exist anymore because they turned to dust, as did the bridge. The pickups were, it's like, so you're paying £100 for something that isn't, it's a guitar-shaped object, and then, or you're paying £200 for like a Westone Spectrum or whatever it is, where you're actually getting a pro level as a proper American Fender level guitar that doesn't have the kudos on it because it's not a Fender. But kind of difficult. Decade amp for Queen of the Stone Age is over £1,000 in the PV amp. I saw that. Yes. It's all on the fingers. I mean, I bought one of I had one of the Brian May amps, the Deaky. It was like a really cool looking amp. It was a wee 10-watt Vox, this size, I don't know, 8-inch speaker or something like that in it. And it was white, and it was the Brian May signature model. I think I bought it for 40 quid and sold it for 100 quid and thought I'd done really well before realizing they're actually worth 200 quid. Like, damn it. But I mean, it's that's the whole worth it thing. It's like, are you a mad Brian May fan that's got the guitar, got all the albums, got all the versions albums on your wall? Then yeah, totally £200 a fucking bargain for something like that. As an amp though, it was shit. It was the same as any 10-watt shitty wee fucking tube amp, like a BB Blaster or whatever other make you've got of that amp. Basically, that's what it was. But it said Vox on it, and it was white, and it said Brian May's badge on it. Just so that's the kind of thing I'm fighting against. It's like, I can't argue that the amp looked really cool, and it was Brian May, so it was like, yeah, and at 40, 50 quid, like, that's fucking cool having that. But I mean, it just sounded shit. It didn't sound as good as a real amp, and Fazley, they're basically the same as Jets. They're made in the same factory. But even cheaper, I believe. There was an end of line deal spared on Bax Music. I'm going to buy a Fazley if they've got deals on just now, because I was going to buy one. It was termed as exotic wood, and it was a Telecaster. And I seem to remember it being, I think it was like a 10% discount on it. It was like something like £58 delivered for a Telecaster of exotic wood. How bad can it be? Maybe that's what I'll use Jez's money for. Jez gave me money, and I haven't found anything yet. I keep seeing things that are too cheap. You give me £100, I'm going to buy £100 guitar to do up. Kind of, it's tempting to get one genned, actually. Don't know. Weetabix guitar builder. Well, you get the guys that build guitars out of fucking pencils and noodles and all these things. So basically, you just have anything, make it out of perspex or what's the word I'm looking for? Epoxy. Make it out of epoxy and have whatever you want. Just make it out of flowers and then make the body out of epoxy, and you can make it. Wonder how many of the stream team are gigging. I don't know. It used to be a thing where everyone who could play the guitar gigged. I don't think the gigs aren't the same as they used to be. I'm gigging. I'm in the Black Sabbath band. So I'm gigging. I'm no longer in the blues band. I was a bit disappointed with that. No, and it all ended up brilliantly. It's just that they wanted the original bass player back, who was ill. He was getting cancer treatment or something like that. So, so they did. the way the guy worded it from the blues band was up here. Yeah, it's all, really fucking thanks so much for all your help. It was great fun. Everyone loved you. It was a great laugh. But I'm going to get my pal back on the bass. And it was like I think he'd maybe spent 5 minutes thinking about what he was going to say because it's like, yeah, that's how to say it. You know, it's like I mean, I do worry that maybe I'd brought a bit of life into the band a little bit, just by being the new guy and being a bit silly. I've always been a bit of a dick. Well, not a dick, but a funny dick. I made some jokes. I nearly fucking killed the horn section with a joke. It's like I'd make jokes all the time. Was up here. The girl singing runs up here. How do you have you been practicing these songs? Well, no, they're not too bad. The drummer's up here. Yes, we've been at this for 6 weeks now. So how can you? But you've not heard these songs before. How come you can play them? I was like, well, there's only like 12 notes in a bass, and it's like, so I've got a 1 in 12 chance of being right, and some of them are harmonies, so I've got a 1 in 4 chance of being right. And the fucking horn section were pissing themselves laughing. I didn't think it was that funny. Yeah. Stovey. Have you seen the Wancaster? Yes, I was a member of it. I got banned from I was on a page called Ugly Guitars. Someone suggested I join Ugly Guitars. So I joined it, Facebook page. And then the following day, one of mine fucking turned up. I just only sold that last week. And I was like, all right, that's what Ugly Guitars is. I built a fucking stupid thing. It was a Yamaha Pacifica. No, not Pacifica, an RGX, which is kind of like the one before the Pacifica. It's a wee bit more pointy. And I'd fucking put 4 pickups in it. And I tried to paint it neon yellow, fluorescent yellow. And then I tried to paint half of it fluorescent green, but the paint had been in my garage for a year and it had gone off. So it pure dripped down. So I left it. So it was like fluorescent green here with drips going over a yellow bit. And it actually looked pretty good. I put glow in the dark pickups in it. And that had made it onto the point. I want IKEA to sell instruments made over from the leftover furniture parts. They probably do sell them. They're just not called IKEA guitars. They're called Harley Benton. Children of the Grave. Yeah, these things are easier. I need to get the Wee Red Bass out for that. Oh, I just like put Yafari at the end of things, make it bad. I really should be. Can I play it the guitar? I probably can. I'm better play it the bass though, because I'm going to play it the wee back. Oh, yes, I can. So I will do it, but I would play it in a Telecaster if I put strings on it, but I didn't, which was wrong. So I'm going to play the wee red bass because we're now into a situation where I can play it, obviously, play it live, but I play it on the bass. So playing it on the guitar is going to be a bit difficult. I can turn on. I've not connected up my new bass pedal. I was going to do it earlier on. Now I'm sitting there going, why didn't I plug in the fucking this thing? My MXR bass distortion. That'd be smashing. Don't have it. So instead I've got a bass amp and fuzz pedal to the guitar. And Children of the Grave is down tuned to C sharp. So I'll play it in C sharp. Children of tomorrow, listen to that vow today. And this sunrise of tomorrow, bring him peace in any way. And it turns into the shadow of atomic fear. Will they run the creep for peace, or will they disappear? Yeah! something like that. Sorry, get kind of way there. Got a gig. Actually, look up After the End on Facebook Marketplace. Facebook, we're playing Ivory Blacks, which is a proper venue in Glasgow. So anyone in Glasgow, you can come and see us rather than playing Bathgate or Paisley, which are a bit of a stretch. This is in the centre of town. Got a gig. Loving that. Do you practice with a metronome? I don't, but I used to. There's a click track in my loop pedal, which I used to use, but then I got it's called a Moore drummer pedal, which is, it's not a click track. It's a very basic drum thing, and there's like 100 different settings, but that just gives me the ability to play along. And play much louder than the click. Which unfortunately means that I can just play the bass forever, all day. So basically, yes, having a click track, playing along with these things is amazing. But you don't need a click track. I find that having a loop pedal behind me is dead good as well. How many AUDs to do a quid? I don't know what you're talking about. Where's the gig? I can't remember. I need to. That's why I said look up the page. I can't remember. It's in September or something. A quid and a pound are the same thing. A quid's just a sort of slang term. It's like a buck or a dollar. Although you can use bucks here as well. What Australian is half a US dollar. Okay, it's changed. It used to be a third. I still think a pound's worth a bit more than a dollar, but not much more. I think it's like, I remember it being £1, $1.75. So when I was buying shit off eBay, it was pure great. Buying like genuine Fender parts and stuff from like a wee shit guitar shop in Nashville. And I remember buying, it was Fender 6 parts, like, you know, the wee switch, like a Jazzmaster switch box. And it was something like a tenner plus £2. So I got like 12 quid. And it was £40 to buy an official Fender one in the UK. But because I was below price limits for import duties and shit, it was great. But that's because guitars in America used to be, it was 1.75 to the pound to one, and now it's like 1.1 or something. I don't know. It's slightly more. I think a pound is worth more than a dollar, but not much. It's like £10 is worth $11 or something. Rihanna has a 10 songs with 1 billion streams each. I don't know if the streams make a difference. I don't know how much money you get from streams. I do remember Peter Frampton having a bit of a rant at one point from Spotify because one of his songs, I don't know, was it Do You Feel Like We Are or whatever it is, was in a film or an American TV show, and it was something like 5.5 million streams he got in a year. And he was like sitting there with his check for $250 going, 5.5 million downloads, yeah, 200 quid. What? So I don't know. I've never even been to Ivory Blacks. I think I'll have to look up the website. I can probably do that. It's September or something. We're playing with Rory Gallagher tribute band. And I think we're on first, but it's a double headliner, so we get the full. We'll actually get to play a full set of a couple of hours or whatever it is we're going to do. not got that far yet to know exactly how long we've got. I don't know. I'll just check out, see what they're coming. But it'd be awesome if you could come. I've never really invited anybody to any of the Sabbath gigs because we've not done any in town. They've all been slightly out of the way. We're playing a festival, Wolstonbury, in about a month's time, but there's no tickets for that. It's a private party, which sounds great fun. What am I looking for? I'm looking for no, I'm not looking for. I'm looking for that. I'm looking for change. See all profiles after the end, and then picture of Tony Iommi. That wasn't us. Nope. I don't really have very much to do with this. This is not Anthrax. This is not my posts. Where are our posts? How do you get our posts? It was only announced the other day. The Colville Metal Invasion at the Victoria Bikers Club. I know the Victoria Bikers Club. Sorry, it's kind of bizarre because this isn't my page. It's like it's all different things that are showing up. How do I see our posts? When I click on after the end, does it show us ones? This is obviously shown as the after the end Facebook page, which is shit that I've never had anything to do with. I'm sure it's September the. Oh, I don't even know. Right, fucking giving me options. We're now coming the week. That's it. How can that not be it? What? Yeah, the answer is I don't know. I'm sure there was definitely a thing that we looked up, and we definitely got a gig in Ivory Blacks. It doesn't look like we've actually put. The last thing I can see is a picture of Ozzy Osbourne. It says there's an announcement coming soon. The announcement has happened. So I mean, I'm just shit at this. Yeah. So I don't organise things in Black Sabbath. Quite good. Any birds in here? Is it all lads? No, there was a girl here from Texas. They don't speak though because it's obviously intimidating for them. You have the West Tone punk band signature guitar, right? The West Tone punk band signature guitar. I don't know. Is that the Clipper 6? With 3 vintage guitars. I've had a few. I've not had a bad vintage. Well, no, I have had a bad vintage axe. It was called a metal axe or something like that. It was kind of like a BC Rich, but not as balanced as a BC Rich. Just looking wise, it looked wrong. And it wasn't good. So they're not all good, but I mean the SGs. I've had a few of them. They're definitely. Almost bought the Epiphone SG 1961 new from 850. They're kind of scary. Those Epiphones, because the thing is, they look really fucking good. I was going to buy one. The one that my pal bought, which was a P90 one, was a sort of. It was dark green, but the one I liked was basically I think the same model but Pelham blue with 2 P90s. And I thought that's fucking great for me. 350 quid. And I was, seriously when they announced that they changed the Epiphone was under new management, I was happy. Oh, that's in. Yeah. Pelham blue 2 P90s wraparound bridge SG. That's going to be like my Epiphone SG, apart from a different color with P90s. Nothing fucking like my Epiphone SG. It was terrible. It was just like Harley Benton. It was like, look at it. Oh, it looks wonderful. Let's see the specs list. Oh, the specs list's wonderful. Who did you get to put it together? The cheapest person you could find anywhere. It really was. It was fucking awful. Saturday the 23rd of September with Jinx. Cheers, Jeff. Cheers. Yes, it is. I'm not a promoter. I'm not a salesman. I should be though. No, I mean, to be fair, that was only one guitar I got, and it's like from certain the way of the world these days. You basically there are still some small independent shops that will buy a guitar, take it out the box, set it up because it needs to be adjusted because it's just come from China, and then you're buying a guitar. Oh, The problem is, it's going to be 20% cheaper buying that guitar online or from Guitar or something. And what they do is, see the bit where they take it out the box and set it up? They don't do that. So basically, you just get a box. Here you go. So it's the same as buying it online. So will it be a good one? Might be. You might be one of those lucky ones that gets a really good one straight out of the box. It's possible. It's not impossible, but it's not been checked by anyone. I think what they've done is they've done that thing where they did in Fight Club, where the guy, the main character in Fight Club, had to go around car accidents. Like he worked for an insurance company or something like that. They had to work out how, right, okay, the brakes in this model of car are fucked, right? So they don't work. So X amount of people will die in flames because of these brakes, right? How much does it cost to recall all the cars and sort the brakes versus how much insurance money do we have to put out to the dead people's families? And if it's cheaper just to pay off the 100 people that died than it is to recall 1,000 cars, you don't bother recalling the cars, you just let 100 people die. That kind of thing. That seems a little bit excessive, but yeah. So how much is it worth it? So they're sitting there going, if they take it out the box, quite a lot of people are going to buy their first guitar, and the way people are worded out, it's like, yeah, how much does a guitar cost? And you go into a modern guitar shop, £2,000 for a decent one. So £400 gets me one that's probably okay. And I'm very much of the case of £400 should get you a proper gigging animal. You know, it should be a proper guitar for £400. How Magnum Japanese? I don't know Magnum. Don't talk about Fight Club. I don't. No. Yeah, I don't know how much the tickets cost to come see us, but it'd be worth it. I'm quite looking forward to the Rory Gallagher band. I like Rory Gallagher. But a Trevor Gilman, I don't even know what that is. Malcolm, PRS players. I mean, dentist. Well, that's it. I mean, yes, I do kind of get that. It's like there's people who buy fucking. When you look at how much like something like a Range Rover costs these days, you're like, I don't know. If you're paying £100,000 for a car, you get too much money. If you're paying £2,500 for a guitar, you've got too much money. But I mean, if you've got the money to spend, I mean, you could spend it on worse things. You know what I mean? £2,500, I suppose, isn't even a good holiday for the family, is it? So it's not a lot of money when you look at it in these terms. But I'm not a PRS player, no. The thing is, I kind of could be if I like the look of them. I do quite like the look of the PRS Santana. That's the kind of 2P90s sort of Les Paul Jr.-y, double cut-y looky one. I do quite like the look of them. But that's where it comes into it as well, when you're talking about the PRS SE. When you're looking at a guitar, you know, I'm going to judge that it costs about 300 quid, something like that. And it's like, if it's a really good guitar and it's 300 quid, it's like, yeah, I'm fine with that. It's when you start looking at the PRS version, the American one, that's $5,000 and $10,000. So much of that you're paying and what it looks like. It can't be a better guitar. It's not going to be a better guitar than the Roadster. You know what I mean? Oh. The Dragon series. I know the ones. Yeah, I mean, they do look. Well, I don't know. It's just that I'm one for the basic guitars. Kind of why I like Telecasters and Strats, because they are really basic. I do have some fancy ones though, like the Washburn Falcon. It's nice having the fancy one going, look at all the extra shit on this that doesn't make any difference. Is kind of look, pure solid rosewood cap. Look at the grain on the one-piece ash body, and look at the ebony fingerboard and the brass inlays and all the things. It doesn't make any difference to the sound, or if they do make a difference to the sound, they make that much difference to the sound. It's nice having them. It's a nice thing, but is it worth it? Yeah, someone actually, I've just I didn't answer. Someone was asking about the Danelectro reissues earlier on, and yes, I'm going to get a Danelectro of some sort. I really enjoyed the ones I was doing for that guy from the Bucky Rage. I really enjoyed his Danelectros. They're really different. I don't think I could have it as my one guitar. it's not going to cover, basically, if you got one guitar, the Roadstar, you can cover everything with that. The Danelectro doesn't do any of those things. It can't do Judas Priest. It can't do Zeppelin. It can't do Dire Straits. It does do its thing. It does the White Stripes. It does Strawberry Alarm Clock. So does that, but it's good. Yeah, I don't know. It just comes down to it. Have you seen Game of Thrones when the Terence Stamp, not Terence Stamp, Terence something, the guy who plays the head crows talking about used to be a cobbler, and he would make these shoes that would take 10,000 hours, and they would just be worth so much money, more people than most people would spend in a house, because somebody just wanted a pair of shoes that took 10,000 hours to build. That's kind of it. So it's like there is a thing of having a nice thing. It's nicer, but you just don't get what you pay for. The law of diminishing returns. I mean, anyone would say that if you're looking at a guitar that costs £1,000 and one that costs £2,000, is the £2,000 one going to actually be better? If you're switching between makes, if you're looking at £1,000 Gibson and a £2,000 Gibson, you would expect them to be better. But if you're going from a £1,000 Strat to a £2,000 Gibson, you would expect it to be better. I don't think it works that way. Well, I just got another wobble for having drank too much. Oh. The Strat almost bankrupted Rory's family. Can you build your own guitar for cheap? Don't get much cheaper than that. I found the neck in a bin. I did have to know who had a bin with a neck in it, though. And it's like it was 12 quid or something it cost, and that's just a... I'm going to play that. Okay. I do like my Shocking Bird. It depends what you... But the thing is, it's like, if you're going to build a guitar for yourself, like for example this, most of the people who spend the time on building a guitar like this would start off with a solid block of ash or mahogany or something, and it would have all the most expensive parts in it. This doesn't. This is two fucking joists stuck together, and what's come out of it's pure amazing, and that's it for a bass amp. How true is you get what you pay for? It's a funny one. It depends what it is you want. I mean, my thing is not necessarily guitars that are worth a lot of money. I know a lot of people that's their thing, which is totally fine. My thing is getting the best guitars, the best playing, the best sounding, the best feeling guitars is my thing. And if that's your thing, you're not buying Fenders and Gibsons and modern guitars. You're buying old Japanese guitars like I am. So instead of buying one, I'm getting 10, and all those 10 are better than the one. Every one of them. But you have to have ones that look in a stupid shape. You don't get ones that look like the one Rory Gallagher played. You don't get that. You get a Westone Spectrum instead of a Fender Strat. Both the same level. One of them looks hideous, sort of, and one of them looks like a Fender Strat. That's why it costs 10 times as much. It's the same fucking guitar. Harley Benton do cheap kits that work. They possibly do. Because, I mean, the parts on a Harley Benton, if you look at the spec sheet's fucking great. It's just when you actually get the guitar, you go, what the fuck? Why is the bridge there? The bridge should be here. The neck should be here. These frets should be put into the fingerboard. The nut shouldn't be painted in and cut too low. The tuner should be straight. All these things. I've played Harley Bentons that weren't pure crap. I've never played one that was actually good, though. I'm sorry. I know that's really unpopular, and it's like it's elitist. You're just saying that because obviously it's not as good as a Gibson Les Paul. Well, no, a Gibson Les Paul is better than the Harley Benton one at 200 quid. It is. The problem is a Washburn Falcon is better than the Gibson Les Paul and costs somewhere between. Costs a bit more than Harley Benton. Not a lot more, though. Oh, £1,000 guitar should at least be able to make a cup of tea and so. Yes. Yes. I'm just at the point of I don't unless it's got a collectible value. If you're looking, I can't see how a guitar's worth £1,000. I can't see myself doing that. Even if I did win the lottery, I don't think I would be buying many. If I won the lottery and I was able to buy anything, I would probably buy a late 60s Gibson SG special, which I think is about 1,500 quid, something like that. Just because I've got too much money. I don't even want a fucking 58 Les Paul. If someone gave me it, obviously it'd be great. I would sell it, but I don't actually want the fucking thing. And it's like kind of ridiculous. £315 for a guitar delivered 2005 new SG. How could it be new if it's 2005? Is that your best guitar's a Maverick BT4 Washburn? Wow. That's the latest Samick guitar. Yeah, totally. I mean, Samick guitars are great. They're what you get now. Anything under £1,000's a Samick guitar, pretty much. They pure nailed it after they were Hondos, or Hondo were the Samick's home brand. And after they'd been to Japan in 1980, 1981, where they got some Hondos built by Matsumoku and Tokai, they went round that factory and we've ordered 10,000 guitars off you just to see how you're doing it. And they went round it, took photos and shit. How you build a guitar properly. So when they went back, anything after like 81, 82 by Samick is a proper guitar because they copied how to build it off the Japanese. Yes, no, they're fine. It's not, to be honest, there's absolutely no chance that something like that can touch like that, whatever it is that, because it's a Japanese one. Even the best one in the world can't touch a Japanese one because Japanese ones are just better. But it'd be good. Can you use the Buckfast bottle as a slide? I can't really use slides. I can try. Am I going to remember the chords first time? Fuck it, I'll try. And if I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? 'Cause I must be traveling on now. With too many voices I can't see. Lord, help me, I can't change. This is how I learn to play the guitar. Oh. Don't you find Wolf Fever? God bless you. Yes. Don't try and play things drunk. It doesn't work. Oh. Oh. There's new 2005 for SAP for years. Vintage VX6 series, red original, reissue, not a reissue. V6 specs body, mahogany neck, mahogany set neck. They are good guitars. I rate them. Definitely. I quite like the Bart Simpson type headstock as well. Pickups Wilkinson. Yeah, seems to be quite good. Oh, that was fantastic. Yeah, that's quite good. So the finger's not the gear. Damn, yes, it is. I'm afraid. Well, there's a certain point. It's like, you sit there, if you give Jimi Hendrix your guitar, but if your guitar doesn't ever go in tune, it's only got 2 strings. Jimi Hendrix isn't going to sound very good on it. But assuming it works, then yeah. I've always kind of felt that way. I mean, I'm freaking gigging. I'm not using the expensive stuff. Gigging with the Sabbath band. I've got expensive stuff. I'm not using. I'm using that amp. That after the end amp cost me 30 quid. The effects pedal I use because it's got fuzz and a tuner and a wah-wah for the start NIB in it is that, which costs 20 quid. It's like a Zoom thing. Just because all I'm using it for is fuzz. Well, the tuner's handy and the wah-wah is good for the start NIB, but I don't need a good wah-wah. I don't need a good tuner. Fuck it, you know what I mean? And then I actually been in the studio playing this bass. So I mean, I've gone into the studio and played through, £40 worth of equipment, and not noticeably bad. The drunker I get, the better. I wish that worked my way as well. The problem is, the drunker I get, the more annoyed I get at not being able to play what I think I should be playing. It's like something like when we were playing Freebird there. I wasn't playing that right. I can normally play it right. I have no idea what it is to do. I'm sure it's up here somewhere. Bad connection. Did I start the wrong keys at A? But that was my thing about getting the loop pedal. By being able to stick in 3 chords like that, you can just, that'll keep going forever. I'm sure it's up here. Better stop doing that before everyone realizes that I basically play that in every fucking loop jam I do. It's just a different one. Do I dig in? I don't. When you say do I dig it, I appreciate. No, I don't really know anything about such things. I'm not a hugely versatile guitarist. In fact, I'm pretty shit. I can do the one thing I can do, and that is sticking 3 chords in. If the band's playing 3 chords for 5 minutes, oh my god, I can totally kick ass. If it's got changes in it, I'm not so good. Hey, wee Yvonne, how's it going? It isn't G. Yeah, so I just can't remember what the actual. I used to be able to play a bit of it. Bang gear is great, becomes very addictive, but you can't beat practice to improve all areas of your sound. The legends of the past manage it without bare minimum. This is true. Not that there's anything wrong with having help, but yes, I do it myself. I mean, the thing is, see, basically since I started doing the YouTube thing, especially since the lockdown when I started doing 1 video a day, I'm forced to play the guitar for half an hour, and even then, it's not live, right? But it pretty much is live. So basically, I hit record and just wing it. So I've had tons and tons of practice, like 365 videos a year, one every day of me playing for 20 minutes, winging it. So I'm good at it now. But that's kind of forced me to do that. I think I've got much better on the guitar from that. I do play the guitar on its own rights, but this is forcing me to do it every day. That's what makes a difference. Technically, I don't know enough theory. I don't learn enough, but I have got good at doing the things that I can do, which is the old thing when you're learning to play the guitar. I remember when I was starting to play, people being able to play the whole of the Comfortably Numb solo, it would be like, I can play all of it, every note. And you're like, no, it's much better to be able to play a little bit of it, like. I can't remember how the Comfortably Numb solo goes like. See, that's better than what a lot of my pals could play, even though they were playing the right notes, because I'm playing something that actually fits inside it. When you look back to even not even going back that far, the idea of buying records and shit, I had to buy albums. I thought I was in a pure golden era because I could buy records for £1, so I could have a tenner instead of buying one CD or not even a whole CD. I could buy 10 albums. And that would include like a Deep Purple album and a Black Sabbath album and a Beatles album and 7 ones that I just bought because I liked the cover. I mean, I felt really like that. Hey, Dorothy the Lab Skeleton, I've not heard from you for a while. Awesome. How's the lab? And how's the skeleton? Roy Hay from Culture Club. I don't know. Culture Club. It could be good, yeah. Dave Simpson. I don't like Dave Simpson. I don't watch any other YouTubers who do this similar thing to me. He does kind of this, apart from he makes it up for me. Practice on cam. It is. It makes it a different thing. It's like what I've learned playing the guitar, but the ability to just talk shit to the camera is not. I mean, see if it came down to like if I had to present a TV show or some shit like that, turn up doing a newscast, I could pretty much do it just because I'm so used to doing it. I've not done enough gigs to be used to doing gigs, but from this, I could do it. If I was in a band and I was the lead singer, I could do the talking between songs and shit and not really bother because I just do what I'm doing now. It's like that whole disconnect. If you fuck it up, you fuck it up. It's done. Just do it now. I'm very much that way with writing songs and stuff like that as well. It's like, just do it now. If I can, first take's got a bit of live to it. I can't do it. I mean, any videos I've ever tried to do that, occasionally what you'll see in any of these videos is the second take, possibly even the third take if I fucked up right at the very start, but very rarely is it not first. Because every time you do it the second time, it's all gone. All the magic's gone. I couldn't give me a script and editing and all that shit. I couldn't do it. Put a price on the Malcocaster. That one there. You can have it for £100. The Shocking Bird. Well, it's not the Malcocaster. That's the Malcocaster. Oh, £100. I mean, obviously, it's my first ever guitar. So it's the thing of, would you buy Paul Reed Smith's first ever guitar he ever made? Is it better than that? Probably not, but it's the Paul Reed Smith's first ever guitar. That's got to be worth tens of £1,000 just now. So you buy it now, £100. Fucking any. There are other Japanese bands. There are. The more obscure ones are the better. I mean, this one here. This is probably my latest Japanese guitar. This, which is a Fujigen built Japanese Stratocaster. It's got Nico pickups in it. It's got a fucking a solid piece bridge. None of this. Oh, has it got the big trem block? The trem block's fucking huge and part of the bridge. It's absolutely stunning, and the brand is Tempest. Hence why it was cheap. There's actually someone selling one of these just now on Facebook Marketplace, branded Seamar, which is in nothing like as good condition as that. The guy only wants 300 quid for it, and honestly, that I know that because I've got one there. There's a Fender 1988 Fender Fujigen built Strat, apart from the body. It's the same as that. It's like it's closer to that. That is closer to the Japanese Fender than a Mexican or an American one is. It's just the same kind of guitar. It's like, but 70 quid. If you've got to find the makes that nobody knows about, but you've got to know what it is you're looking at. I went fully to buy that with no commitment to buy it whatsoever. Just go, it says made in Japan, and it's interesting. Could be good. It's possible. That makes it good. So I went over to the guy's house and tried it. Sat down, went, oh fuck, there you go, 70 quid. Fuck it. He's like, I do not want to plug it in. So I could plug it in as well. I was going to haggle. As soon as sometimes when you pick up a guitar, you just go, wow, having it. Oh. That's the most beautiful guitar ever made. This one, thank you. I think it's stunning. I think the most beautiful guitar ever made is the Washburn Falcon, though, the Rosewood one. I don't think you can get a guitar prettier than that. Hey, YouTube, best intro ever. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't until I'd done about 20 videos I started to realize, I'm starting off with all these with Hey Egypt, which is what the subtitles used to say. I see the price of Softex. Honestly, I've not seen one for sale, but I will tell you that I bought that one brand spanking new from Victor Morris, 50 quid on my 18th birthday, but it was like 50 quid for that. Softex MiG 60. At the time, he had two. They had that one and 100 quid for the 100-watt MiG 100, which was the full size. This is like a mini head. So the full size, full Marshall stack. And this thing looked like it looked like, like when you get like the SS cars, we've got the SS uniforms from World War II. It's all black and silver and super evil. And I know super evil, they did have a bit of fashion sense, did those I can't even say the N word. Not that one. The one when it refers to German soldiers in the Second World War. But I mean, they did have the fashion thing pure nailed. Don't agree with anything else they did, but I mean, the fashion thing, they do look fucking awesome. If you're wanting to look like a super evil baddie, I mean, fucking if pure got it nailed. I don't even know how much a guitar an amp that would cost. They did reissue it and they were $1,000. So the original one must be worth more because it's all submarine parts. Boss Katana, still good. If you're I think if the Katana's going to be starting to come into that range where the best buys are. The best buys in guitars are ones that are between 10 or maybe about 15 years old, because about 15 years old, it's not old enough to be vintage yet, which pushes the price up, but it's too old to be new. So that's like just now you're looking at guitars around about 2008, 2009 is when you'll get that's at their lowest ebb, how much they will cost. They'll start going back up again. So I would have a look in there. Whatever. Getting a bit carried away here. Where's my yeah. Japanese 80s guitars, they can be, yes. If you're buying one that's a pure obscure, it's like it used to be Westtones and Washburns you would get pure cheap. Not so much now, but things like Tempest and Arbiter and Avon and that still. I would be interested to see how much a new Softex costs, right? Tube amps are not really suited for home uses. They sound crap at low volumes. Dave's great player, but I think his tone is a bit dull. Perhaps he's avoiding the fizzy treble. I don't know. There is a thing. Tube amps, the problem with them is you do have to have them a bit cranky. Well, not really, but it's the whole idea of you think. I remember there's a thing, if you look online, it just says, if you buy like a 1-watt tube amp or a 5-watt tube amp and run it at full bung, it sounds great. Like the wee Epiphone Valve Junior, they don't really sound great. They don't. It's got to be a good amp is the thing I'm going for. So I think I suppose it's the same as anything else. It doesn't need to be particularly complicated. It's a good one. So if you're picking up it's a 5-watt valve head or £100 new, it's not going to be very good. I don't think. It's possible it'll be all right. But I mean, these are even. I do like my wee. This is 30 watt, but it's currently sitting at. There's a half power switch in the back, which puts it down to 15 watt, and then there's another half power switch in the front, which puts it down to 7 watts, and it's still. That's it at the volume. That's how much I can turn it down. Yeah, that's as low as I can have it when it's still on. That's it at coming up to about half of one. And then obviously that was me having it almost up at a third in a quarter power mode. So yeah, valve amps are flipping loud. There must be a way around it. I think there's more to it. I mean, I think my favourite wee valve amp is the wee Laney one, which is quite small. It doesn't look that much smaller from the front as the orange, but it's half as deep. It's only got the wee speaker in it. The 50 watt Boss guitar, great. There's a thing about that as well. It's like I did amp a Blackstar ID Core 10 or an ID Core 20, and in all honesty, that really what we're listening to there is probably too loud for the house, really. But that's the lowest that amp can do. Any lower than that doesn't sound like an amp. That's like totally at its minimum, and that's at half the power in the back and half the power in the front. That's as quiet as it goes, really. And that's still, I suppose you've got the volume in the guitar. But that's where I think something like the ID Core, obviously you can't, at gig volume, that does gig volume fine, but it actually sounds better at any volume less than that. So it kind of depends what it is you're after. There's a lot of guitar reviews, but I don't watch many guitar players. I don't know. It depends. I mean, I'm shit at this YouTube thing. I see people started up after me, and I've got many, many more subs by talking about boring shit. But the thing is, even if I did buy them, if I went and bought whatever the new Squire Classic Vibe that comes out tomorrow, I went and bought it or got given it by Squire, I'm not going to be that enthusiastic about it because I don't really find it that interesting. Which is a problem, but it's kind of like an honesty thing. I'm shit at lying. So even see if I'm playing a guitar that I think is terrible, you'll see me struggle with it, trying to find something good to say. So this guitar, not this one. This one's fucking amazing. But this one's happy. Yeah, it's like, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's not really my thing. It's pretty good. I really like the color. The color. Oh, look at the color. Not talking about the way it's built or the pickups or the sound or the playability. No, talking about the color because it's really quite nice. Yeah, I'm shit at that. I'm a shit salesman. I could make so much. I reckon I could probably have made a living out of this if I was more brutal. But then it wouldn't be me and it wouldn't be fun. Fuck that. Are you saying all Japanese guitars from the 70s are great and cheap? No, I'm saying that there are guitars from the 70s and 80s from Japan that are the best guitars in the world that you can pick up for less than Squire or Epiphone money that are better than Fender. Or they are still kicking about. They're getting rarer, and you're now going into things like Tempest, which is a company, even if you look it up, it doesn't fucking turn up. That kind of thing. It was just like a shop in Australia that imported guitars and sold them under their own brand. That they are there, yeah. Not all of them, but there's always been expensive ones. Try and look up a Yamaha SG. They were never cheap. The SG 1500 and 2000 at the time when they came out were completely and absolutely unarguably better than a Gibson Les Paul in every way. Just better. Therefore, they've always cost more than a Gibson Les Paul because they're 3 times as good. Yeah, you never find one of them cheap. You're difficult to find a Tokai or a Greco or an Orville or the ones that people know about that are copies. So that's the trick. That one being a bit early, but see if that was a Greco or a Fernandez or something, that would be the same price as a Mexican, but better than an American, is where that would sit if it had a name that people had heard of. Made in the same factory, but the same people. But it wasn't Greco that bought that guitar and badged it. It was Tempest that bought that guitar. Kind of bizarre. Have you any acoustics or electroacoustics for sale? Yeah, I could probably sell some acoustics. I don't use them very much. I've got a 12 stringer. I've got I'd sell my Washburn D30. That's not an electroacoustic though. Yeah. Oh. The Mini Beetle sounds great. I'm missing out a little bit. Where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? Mr. White, you've given up. You managed to peel yourself off your tarpaulin. Brilliant. I take it you're talking about Victor Morris there, Jeff. The free air gun, a crossbow, and that. I had to look it up. Paul's first guitar is a bass. It's a 2000 guitars book made in 1972. It's fugly. He must have been 12 when he made it. Neddy Lorhorn like yours though. All right, well there you go. I like 2004 Tower Crawl. If you see his amp settings, it's scary. I've tried and sounds crap in the same amp. Katana's a great buy. Go for it. Plenty to get your tooth in. Yes, if you're into fanning about, I'm not a knob twiddler. I've only got one knob on this guitar, but I kind of like. It's a shit thing, and I totally accept that it's a completely stupid thing, and it totally lessens my impact and my credibility. But see, when you get like an amp, something like that, and you've got, half a dozen, 10 knobs in the front. See if you kind of put them all at 12, apart from the volume. I want to put all the EQ at 12 and shit and plug it in, and it to sound pretty good. I need that. And then, so it sounds all right, and then I can maybe tweak it to make it sound a bit better. That's how I judge an amp a little bit, as opposed to you've got a million knobs, you plug it in and it sounds gash, and you spend the next half hour trying to make it sound good. Fuck that. I just want it to sound okay with everything flat or still quite good. So you've already got a quite good, acceptable, I could use it sound, and then you can tweak it a wee bit to your taste. I like that. I don't like ones where you plug in and it's like immediately you have to try and you're like, oh God, it sounds awful. How can I make it sound better? It's like there's too much bass and all that pish. I don't like that. A 1-watt Marshall and a Supro. You can't really buy a good sounding amp unless you go loud or solid state. Possibly, I don't know. It depends what it is. Something that sounds great, it's not necessarily something that sounds great to somebody else. I mean, I was talking earlier on about how I hated the 80s, the sound of the 80s, all the sheen and all that. So basically, I still don't really use any effects. I've managed. My pal Scott's been fucking hassling me to start you. I've now got reverb on. All right, there, reverb on. That's it. I'm still quite happy. I'm actually not over it yet. So I turn off the reverb. I think it sounds better. It's got a different thing in it. I'm still not sure I don't prefer it without reverb on. I don't know. What I'm trying to do with the reverb is make it sound like I'm playing louder and in a bigger area, rather than as an effect. I don't know. I'm still, to be honest, quite happy without it. Don't need it. Oh. In my bedroom set was a Tiny Terror. I think you're not just saying there that you thought that the Tiny Terror's a fucking monster amp. You kind of got to get round. So how? If you're using a distortion pedal, I mean, I basically, the only reason I used any distortion pedals at all was the Rat pedal into the Softtech, because the Softtech doesn't have clean or dirty. If you're playing it quietly, it's sort of clean. As soon as you're up at drum kit level, it sounds like you've got the Rat pedal on. So I used the Rat pedal, running that on half power, which made it kind of sound a bit like when it was up full bung. But I mean, playing along with a drum kit, I just need that and the 3x12 ideally, better than a 4x12, but that and 2x12, 3x12, 4x12 cabinet. That's the sound I need, and it's loud enough to do fucking anything. And if you throttle back on the volume control on the guitar and hit it softly, it's clean. And if you thump it, it sounds like you've got a rat pedal on. So that's all you really want. Acoustic drum kit, they are. They're set though. I have a 50 watt Marshall valve state. It sounds great, but I play it fairly loud because I have no neighbours. Well, there you go. Yes. No, Marshall valve states are good sounding amps. The problem is just inherently in what music is. It doesn't matter what you're listening to or what kind of app. If you're listening to it in a stereo, it sounds better louder. So I mean, that's the thing. You're sitting there and you're like, that's what the problem I've got with the EQing aspect of doing something. You're EQing it. The more volume you put through, the better it sounds. So if you turn all the knobs up, it sounds better because you're making it more. I mean, a 50 watt Marshall valve state is totally giggable and all you need, especially if you're using pedals. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's got a valve in it as well, actually. Because I bought one and looked in it and it's got a valve in it. There you go. I don't know what a Vox Mini Beetle is. Make a Mad Marco shit with your friend that paints the guitars to design it. Jack, it's possible. Yeah, I need to fucking get my finger at my arse to actually go to the shop. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to the shop in Merchant City and I'm going to get them to just order these fucking t-shirts. I've tried a few times, that doesn't work. I don't know how you print those things on. Jen's guitars are mental. You can't actually see any. I've kind of moved them behind me now, but yeah. A Mustang 2012 amp. Yeah, I think I had a shot one. Is that the one that's got the MIDI shit in it? I'm sure it was a Mustang amp. But see, I've got a Casio MIDI guitar. Yeah, it's Casio, but it's actually like a proper guitar, like a 1,600 quid in 1987 guitar. But it outputs it's got a MIDI signal output. See if you plug that straight into that Fender thingy, because it's got a MIDI backing track generator, the guitar can just run the sound bank in it. So basically, with the Fender Mustang, I'm sure it was a Mustang amp I had. Fucking my pal Liam. So I'm going to throw this out if you can fix it. So I was like, I don't think I can fix it. Give us a shot. Looked it up. Fucking didn't work. Looking at it, it was a wee thing that looked like a piece of sweet corn on the circuit board. Looked a bit burnt. Looked up the internet. Oh, blah 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 blah. Diode. Blah, 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 blah. It's common to break in these. So I was like, if I can just ordered it, it was like 50p. Put it in, soldered it in. Guitar worked, and it ran the MIDI controller as well because it had a MIDI backing track, general MIDI bank in it. It was good though. I liked it. And then we guys, oh, it's great. Thanks for fixing it. Cheers. Took it away. I was like, what? It was going in the bin. Never give me any money, you bastard Liam. I'll get him back. Bagheera for the win. I've heard a lot about the Bagheeras. I don't know anything about them. They're Behringer, aren't they? Bukkake on the chin. Oh dear. Welcome to put yourself a Jackie. Join me in my old fashions, G&L. G&L. No, I've played some G&Ls that are really good. Yes, I like that. I like their pickups. Should be better. Well, it's later on. Yeah, I think could be. Yeah. With overdrive pedal. Live, I played a PVTN T150. I'm kind of a down on PVs because the first PVs I ever really heard were which kind of looked like the good ones in the era of, they were kind of wedge-shaped amps and they had a turquoise stripe on them. And the logo kind of looks like it says Pervy. It's a spiky PV logo. I've basically played through a few of them that were fucking awful. But these weren't the Bandits or the, I think it's 150 watt. They look the same, but much smaller. And I think the reason I ended up buying them is because they were crap. They were broken, you know what I mean? But they were terrible. G-Deck. That is the one I had. You're quite right. Has everything on guitar been done? No. No, there's still things to be happening in guitar. I don't know what they are. They're still there. Has anyone ever done this? Everyone's done that. I'll think of something that hasn't been done before. Play with your nose. See, Hendrix played with his teeth. As far as I'm aware, that's the first time anyone ever played it with the nose. Oh, he needs a decent pedal platform, regardless of what speaker size. If you're playing at home, make a board where all the budget pedals are built. In some ways, yes. Totally. But it depends what it is you want it to sound like. The thing is that, see, the music I like best, the stuff that I kind of want to sound like, your John Fogerty, your Tony Iommi and all that, they kind of did it in the 70s. So it was kind of the sound I'm using. That's what I like best. I don't really like the 80s, 90s modern guitar sounds as much. So I'm not saying they're bad. It's just not really my thing. It's like, one of the reasons I don't super dig like Van Halen is I don't really like his guitar sound. Whereas like someone like, KK Downing or John Fogerty or something like that. I like that. That sound is great. That's great. No, I'm not talking about what they're playing, but they're using that sound, and it's like it's my thing. John Morello's a fucking amazing guitarist, though. He's also in Star Trek Voyager. Did you know that? The G-Deck Blues version, great. Yes, was not the G-Deck Junior at the MIDI. Remember it because of the OB. Yes, that was a G-Deck. I don't know what the Mustang is. Then I forget that. Do you use picks? I use them on the guitar. Yeah, got the Westone Thunder guitar fixed up. Smokes everything but the Roadster. I would do. The thing I think about the Mr. White about the Westone Thunder is it's a common one, isn't it? There's other Westones like the Concorde and the Prestige they've basically built their reputation on the Thunder, but the Thunder's the one that everyone knows about. It's like everyone knows about that. Something a bit more obscure, but yes, they're fucking amazing. Do you slide with your banger but off camera? I don't know what you're talking about. You can. I've used your finger. That's not really. I've not had to do that before, but that used to be a case of when I dropped a pick or I couldn't find a pick, just pretend you've got a pick and use your finger instead. It's not as easy, but you just pretend you're holding a pick and use your finger instead. If it comes down to it. If I have a Les Paul, do you really use an SG? Well, that's a question, isn't it? For me, yes. For me, at any point, if I had a Les Paul, do you need an SG? I would sell the Les Paul and buy an SG and keep the change. I prefer, but it depends on what it was you grew up listening to. I was never that much of a fan. I was never a huge Jimmy Page fan or a Slash or Peter Green, even. Obviously a fan, but not the same way as I was with your Mike Oldfield, Tony Iommi, Pete Townsend, George Harrison, Robbie Krieger, all the people that used SGs. See the guitar wearing pedals, right? Okay. Westone was on the guitar cover front page magazine, possibly. When Eddie Van Halen appeared, I was obsessed. Every other guitarist was obsolete, but always I now hate the sound of tapping and harmonics. Yeah, Wet Lettuce, you were there. That's the difference. As far as I'm concerned, I don't remember a time when I didn't know the Final Countdown existed. Okay. The Final Countdown, all the finger tapping and the speed stuff's very derivative of Van Halen and Randy Rhoads. But I don't remember that not existing. I do remember being in a band before and the singer was saying, "Oh, you weren't there, and you didn't hear that in the radio." And it was like the midget thing was, "What is that? Is that a guitar?" Because no one had ever heard anything like that. I don't remember that. So I get it. It's just I wasn't there. I was too. Van Halen to me, I'd heard the name and people telling me Van Halen were pure amazing hundreds and hundreds of times before I actually bought the album and put it on, and I went, it's all right, which is still my opinion. That's good. Aye, that's good. Not Black Sabbath though, for fuck's sake. But that's just my opinion. I do. I'm not saying I don't like. I've kind of grown a wee bit used to them now, but not fantastic. Gonna wear a Speedo this summer with a potato in the front. All right, yeah. It's an aubergine wrapped in tinfoil. Potato in the back. Oh my god, this has been really educational. Yeah, I'm not really. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of taking the piss, but I mean, I'm not lying about anything. I'm just maybe not being as accurate as I could be. So practice improves tone. Yes, it totally does. And listening to what you play. I think if I don't know what stage you're at, but see, we were talking about using a metronome and stuff. See, getting some sort of loop pedal. They're cheaper, 30 quid for the cheapest one, where you can just batter in fucking the simplest chords. I mean, the first one I did was Paranoid, you know, it was like. Start again. And that just gave me a backing track to play over the top. And the difference being able to play, like for playing lead guitar, over something that's set in stone. Is there something even in this? Still Freebirds. I can do anything and that keeps going. But regardless of what you do, unlike a band, no matter how bad you are, that just keeps going. So it's a case of pure, whoa, I'm doing something crazy, I'll be back at the start. Here we go, I meant that. It's a case of just getting into that. But yeah, but it's all down to how you play. I mean, the simplest things, I mean, it's like you're playing Dave Gilmour, everyone likes him, and Peter Green as well. It's not particularly fast. It's been able to bend it and hold it for the right amount of time. It's very different from. It's very different from. It's all in the phrasing of it, and that basically just comes from playing all the time. So I mean, I can play anything badly, but I can, if it's something that I know, I can play two notes really well. You can overdose in sounds. It's how much time you spend fanning about with the pedals. That's why I don't like it. I'm not confident enough with what I can play on just a distorted guitar. I do like having clean and distorted. So I've got like a rat pedal not on for my clean sound. This might not be in tune. I'm drunk. Can't tell. And then distortion, rat pedal. But it's not that thing about, playing one note is not a case of playing the note. It's playing it well. Playing something very simple really well sounds way better than playing something super, super complicated, not perfectly. That's what it comes into. If you ever watch any of your Paul Gilbert videos or any shreddy videos, it's all pure learn how to do the simple things. Whereas the thing that makes it sound good is getting it pure nailed on time wise, which I've not even tried to do any of this shit for ages. Actually, I can't even do that. But I mean, I would basically sit and spend 10 minutes doing that. So it sounds shit there, but see, once I can get that, so it's running in time. It's really fucking hard. Yeah, really, really fucking difficult. How much time to do? Have you read Ozzy, the book? I have not, no. I kind of went off Ozzy after I heard about what he did to J.K. Lee. I used to be a huge Ozzy fan. To be honest, it kind of went down a bit when I remember my mum and dad talking about Ozzy Osbourne. Oh, you like Ozzy Osbourne, don't you? I'm like, yeah. So I think he's quite cool as well. I saw his TV show. Oh, was that It's like, so Ozzy went from being cool to being not cool when that TV show thing thinks, Mum and Dad knew who they were. No, Ozzy's mine. Nothing to do with that. What do you think about Framus Acoustics? I don't know. What the company's done. It used to be an old thing. I don't even play electric guitars plugged in. Well, to be honest, the sound's there anyway. I like distortion because it hides a lot of things. You can't go. Unplugged because it sounds like this. But that's the old thing about Yes. I mean, what if it's too loud plugged in, get yourself a Black Star Fly, which is only about this size and about 40 quid, a wee battery amp. Sounds great at really quiet volumes. Like, sounds better than a good amp at whisper level, as in you're sitting watching TV and you don't want the person next door to hear you. The Black Star Fly is better than any of the amps I've got here. Any of the Tube £200 amps sound good, like the 1-watt Fender clones. I don't know. I had a shot of an amp that nearly killed me was a Fender Champ, which looks the same as the wee Harley Benton or the wee whatever, the Bergera, or it's a 1-watt fucking amp, 110-inch speaker. It sounded really good. Miles better than the Peavey and the Granger and the Epiphone Valve Junior that I've had with the Sim that's looked the same. You know, not much in it. Yeah, the wee blacks, the 1-watt Champ, £1,200. It's not fucking 1,200 quid. Yeah. The Black Star Fly is great. I mean, the thing is, you're not going to be able to play a gig with it, but for what it is, especially since it's battery powered, it's like, I was noticing this when I was doing videos with Jen and Scott the other day. See, when Scott was playing through it, it sounded fucking much better than when I was, because when I'm playing through it, I know that I'm playing through a wee 3-watt battery powered amp that's only that size. Whereas when someone else is playing through it and you're not, that sounds fucking just like a. How could it be any better? Great amps. But the thing about the one, I sold a 5-watt Peavey. Now, the problem is, it's like the way they're advertised. You think, oh, get the full tube thing going on in the house at low volumes. Buy our 1-watt amp or our 5-watt amp, and it's like, to get it to sound good, you have to have it up at half, and at half it can play along with a drum kit, even though it's only 1 amp. It doesn't do clean at that volume, but that's not what you're after. You're after the drivey thing. So it's just a case of, I don't know. There's a personal choice thing in these things. It depends how much money you're spending, I suppose. The problem is, you also get into things like, something like, if you're looking for a big amp, something like that, this Carlsberg here, which I've got to sell. I'm going to sell it, but I don't even know if I'm going to get 100 quid for it. My pal gave me, it's a 250-watt solid state head. It sounds fucking great, but what make is it? Carlton? Oh. Is it valves? No. Oh. That's what makes a difference. People don't. Valves are better. I looked up the internet and it told me. I've had this argument with so many different people on slightly different topics. Or someone phone up messaging me and goes up here, yeah, quite like the Washburn Falcon. It's pretty good. So he's like, yeah, it's up here. I might buy one. Stick Seymour Duncan's in it. Right, aye. What? Right, okay. So did you buy it and put Seymour Duncan's in it because Seymour Duncan's are the best? I looked up the forums. The Seymour Duncan's the best pickup, and it's like, right. It's got pretty damn distortion, the DiMarzio super distortions in it. But no. I don't want to listen to them. I'm not listening to them. The internet told me. So try and have your own opinions. I don't care if you don't agree with me. That's fine. But don't disagree with me with something you've got thing me of. I say Harley Benton or shite. You've got one that's good. That's fine. You're going by your own personal view on it that it's good. That's fine. I'm not arguing that. If you look up the forums, I think you'll find that they're really good. And it's like, well, the forums, no, but what do you think? Because it's different. Might not get there. Use a tune, bro. use a Vox AC4. They switched to 1.1 watt. One was great for home play, while others are. Yeah, totally. Can get great sounds out of a little cash converter, £60 Marshall MG. Yes, the Marshall MGs sound fucking great. You see the £60, not the 30 watt one. I thought it was an amazing amp the first time I heard it. This is probably 10, 15 years ago. The MG 30 watt. It's kind of, I think I don't know if it's a 12-inch speaker. It's kind of that size, but that's at the volume of. It's got enough speaker on it to move air in the house. It's just loud enough to play in the studio along with a drum kit. And they're cheap. Especially if you're looking at something that's, 10 years old. You're picking up, you said £60 for Marshall MG. Exactly. Catch you later, Strat. Give us another Saturday stream. I might move it on. I'll see what happens. Yeah, I'll do it. I just kind of get used to the Sunday night thing, but I should do the Saturday. The Vox Solid State as a rep for having a valve sound cheap. Forget the model. Forgot. Again, it depends on who you're getting the information from. If there's a possibility, go and try it. It might be what you want. I've got several things that I really rate that nobody else likes. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just means that everyone else is wrong. Then a guy playing an MG10 Marshall sounds great. It can be done. I could survive on an MG10. I could do everything I'm doing on these YouTube videos with a Marshall MG10. I would argue that if you're going to buy a second-hand one, it's worthwhile getting the 30 watt one, which is just better. It's got an extra couple of knobs and it's just bigger and better. But I mean, and it's not going to cost that much more. But if you're buying it new, totally. Just watched a video of this woman in America having a bath with a chimpanzee. Very nice. Old Korean Epiphone SG and a Marshall MG and you're sorted. I could actually do a demo if I wasn't drunk on an old Epiphone SG and a Marshall MG, and yeah, totally. That's actually what I've actually got an SG in bits, an Epiphone SG in bits sitting in the garage that I've cleaned up, and it was a guy that young Stephen, who I taught to play the guitar when he was 14, so that was like 15 years ago or something like that, 10 years ago, and it was like, he had, I don't know, I can't remember, it was a shit acoustic or something like that. I started teaching him in the autumn, and at Christmas time it was, I've got a guitar and an amp, and I think the budget was 150 quid. I got a brand new Epiphone SG Special and a Marshall 30 watt, which I just got back, even though I bought them at the time. But that, I mean, you're talking about an Epiphone SG and a Marshall 30 watt. That's all you need. You can do anything on that, pretty much. I would maybe consider, he did actually end up getting a Squier Strat later on for the Stratty sounds, but yeah, totally there. $1998 Epiphone SG Les Paul Custom, good? I don't know. My Epiphone SG 400 SG is 96, I think, maybe a Samick. The serial number starts with S, and it's very different from the ones that came out a couple of years later. Maybe not 98, maybe they hadn't changed by then. But I mean, yes, good. And yes, you're looking at a Samick guitar. That's fine. Does it compare to one of these? No. It doesn't. These are, I keep saying these, right? That one doesn't count because that's made at a plank of wood. Those two, that one, okay, yeah, it's been painted silly. That's a Yamaha. That's a Japanese Fender. Those are both Japanese. So all the ones you can see, including this one, because it's made by me, so I've made it to Japanese quality, are in a different league to anything Epiphone I've ever done. Although Epiphone did do some Japanese ones, which would be the same as these, but they'll be really expensive. Hey Ian, I think we're about to give up. How about when? It's 1:15. I've not once this bottle's done, I'm ending, but I'm feeling a bit lightheaded and drunk because I probably didn't eat enough today. But yeah, I would definitely say a Marshall MG they're good stuff, and I like the fact that you can pick them up secondhand for cheap. Well, that's an MG. That's a B, which is a valve state bass amp. And it's fucking 30 quid. That's the one. Obviously, that's why I painted it up and I'm gig with that. No problem. You've not missed me yet. You can still ask me something. It's just that I'm now don't expect a coherent answer that makes sense. Expect sarcasm and general larking about. Yeah. But I would definitely go for I would probably go for the vintage over an Epiphone. Because the problem is the Epiphone ones, the ones like mine, the 96 one, the Samick one, are worth more money because people are starting to realize that they were just much better. What's the capital of Peru? I'm trying to I'm Lima. There you go. Okay. Yes. I wouldn't have got that. No, I'm sitting there going through. There's a Neil Young song that mentions Peru in it. I think I could probably get Peru within if you gave me a map of South America, because I know it's in South America. With it sort of with the countries divided off but not named, I would probably get Peru in 3 attempts. Don't know much about South America. Twilight Zone. Yeah, you can ask me anything. Just don't expect a good answer. The capital of Peru is like, is it Lima? I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I don't even know where Peru is really. Just south of Panama, I would imagine. Then again, you could ask me these things when I was sober, and I probably wouldn't even attempt to answer them. But yeah. But I do know what was I watching? I was watching. There's a great thing on YouTube. John Finnemore's sketch show. It's on. You can get it on YouTube. It's like a BBC radio thing, and it's really good. What is it? The capital of Switzerland? No, is it no Switzerland? It's not Geneva. It's not. I can't remember what it is. I'm away, lads. Got an interview tomorrow. I'm going to tell them all I can offer to the position as my pieces for my lunch. Bern. It's Bern, yeah. It's not Helsinki and it's not Zurich, it's Bern, yes. I know, I would have got that, well, maybe. If I'd been sober, I would have got that. But I'm not, so I didn't. When I was talking about playing, the trick is to keep playing. Just play. And have a little bit of listening to the playing. I still come across people who don't listen to what it is they just played. It's like running through a sequence. It shouldn't be running through a sequence. It shouldn't, it's like just that whole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not a solo. Whereas the notes. Has some feeling in it as opposed to if you just read it in a book. It's vitally important to get the swing right. It doesn't even matter if you make mistakes as long as you hit. So if you're playing a 3-chord thing, it's important you get there. So it doesn't really, but if you fuck up, it's to be able to recover and come back in again. And then what you do is you get better at, when you do make a mistake, you repeat it later, or you bend something out of it as if you were trying something different. Pleasure in other people's leisure. Good luck. Kit Kats. Did you take lessons in the beginning? No. No one can tell me what to do, which is shit. But as long as you can give a good impression of Spud from Trainspotting. What is swing? Swing is kind of that it's like what it sounds like. It's like bam, ba bam, bam, ba bam, and you can kind of go a wee bit late, a wee bit early, and you kind of move about a little bit, but still have that drive going. It's all about the swing. Ask your ma. Oh dear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't know if swing's something you can really teach. It's just to try and not be pure static. It's very important to have. This all comes from. I remember watching a program. It was on the BBC Learning Zone. I'd probably started playing the guitar. I was working at the Co-op, and I used to come in from work at like midnight, and I would watch TV for a couple of hours before I went to bed. And because I'm so old, there was fuck all on TV. Basically, the main channels had shut down. So you had BBC Two, which did like Open University stuff, and then Channel 5, which did like X Games, motorbiking and shit, BMXing, which I used to watch. But I watched one that was talk about a guy playing. It was some classical thing. He was playing the cello, and it was like, it was like pure. Was the part, and he's like, you can play it like this, which is one option, or you can play it like, and it's like they sound different just because I'm going oh ho 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 instead of going. It's different from putting, and it's like that whole putting some oomph into it. You have to start careful around chimpanzees. They start off fun, but can end up being nasty as long as you're bigger than them. Going back to Texas, Mr. White, really? The Wichita lineman. Oh, get a bit of Glenn Campbell on it. Aye, fucking really annoying. When I was doing that Skull Electric night last week, I got a couple of records in a charity shop with Scott a few weeks ago, and one of the records was Highland Voyage, which is the Crinan Canal for me, which is fucking great, and I love it. And the other one was a Glenn Campbell record, and I totally remember taking them from Scott's house. I don't know where they fucking went. They've gone. It's really annoying. I do like a bit of the Glenn Campbell. Do you like rap rhythms? I don't know any rap rhythms. I have a few weeks ago. I was it's not really a rap rhythm. What do you call? That's kind of rap, as who's it by? I can't remember who it's by now. She's a kind of girl, but it's you can't touch this. It's just totally stolen from it. But I quite like that. Yeah, the records are still there, Scott. Well, there you go. That's why I couldn't find them. I think I picked them up, had them under my arm, did something else, and put them back. I need to get them. Right, past. I'm too drunk to do this. I should have taken the West Tone and Roadstar, leaving the rest behind. Right, I don't know. How drunk are you? Are you actually going back to Texas and instead of being in? What's going on? But the Roadstar's light. The West Tone's heavy. But I do need to dig at those. Yeah, right. I've got to finish the bucket. Really, it's going to be a bit of a chore. Right, now I can end the stream. Like, no, there's nothing left of it. Oh man, I was up till fucking very late. Diesel Power by the Prodigy. I bet you it's good. I like the Prodigy a lot. I saw them live at T in the Park and when it was still in Strathclyde Park, and I really, really enjoyed them. Even though I don't like dance music, I didn't think the Prodigy were. It's like it's trying to categorize things into categories you like and categories you don't like. Some of them might over swing into other ranges. It's like, I don't like heavy metal. Well, fair enough, but don't close off the door to hearing something that's heavy metal that is really fucking up your street. The same thing happens with classical music, or I don't know, Stone Temple Pilots. Well, I have heard them, definitely. I don't remember them. They didn't jump out at me, but it's just maybe a weird taste. Some things I hear, I tend to get very connected and emotional with music, so I'll hear something and it's like, oh, what's that? I need that. What's that? I need to know everything about that. What? Whoa, that. And if it doesn't do that to me, it's like, right, well, it's all right. But some things make me pure. Oh, I have to own. Yeah. Pick up a new tarp at Walmart. Well, I suppose it'll be fun getting it back to the condition that you like. Obviously, you want it heavy and sticky. Anyhow, right. Cheers for everyone joining in. Thanks very much. If you didn't spike a like before you did it, that'd be great. More videos of the week. Ken. Mr. Whitesnake's fucking starting to learn some fife. Move to the kingdom. You go down well there. Anyhow, right, I'm going to bed. I am fucked. How much is your hex? Block rocking beats? I don't know. There's two types of music. There's music I like and there's music I don't like. Some stuff in the middle, if it doesn't really mean anything to me, then I might eventually like it. I suppose that's the kind of the way pop music works in the radio, isn't it? If it's something I hate, first attempt, every time I hear it, it'll get worse and I'll hate it more. If it's something I'm meh about, I might end up liking it. If it's something I like, I'll probably like it more. Kind of, I don't know. There is a taste thing involved. I'm not going to argue sitting there and just like anyone who says that Rush are shit. I don't particularly. They're not shit. I might not understand what they're doing, or I might not like it, but they're not shit. Whereas you get some bands that are just shit. Not mentioning Noel Gallagher. Rock on. Love you all. Thanks very much, and I'll see you during the week and next Sunday for more of the same. Rock on.